The galaxy's apex predator. The Vornax were known across the galaxy as the deadliest species to ever exist. They were tall, armored creatures with razor-sharp claws and eyes that glowed red in the dark. Their strength was unmatched, their technology far superior, and their hunger for domination endless. Entire civilizations trembled at the mere mention of their name. To them, every other species was prey, and every planet was theirs to conquer. For thousands of years, they had ruled the galaxy with fear and destruction, leaving nothing but ruins in their path. On their homeworld, Kalzor, the Vornax leader, Supreme Commander Zoreth, stood before his fleet of warships. His voice echoed through the massive halls as he addressed his warriors. The galaxy bends to our will. No species has dared to challenge us, and no planet has ever resisted our might. Today we set our eyes on a new world. Earth, Zoreth declared, his voice booming with pride and confidence. The warriors roared in approval, their claws clashing against their steel armor. Earth. To the Vornax, it was nothing more than a primitive backwater planet. Their scouts had observed humans, small, fragile, and weak. They had no claws, no fangs, and no natural defenses. Their cities were scattered, their species divided. In the Vornax's eyes, humans were barely worth the effort of conquering, but Zoreth believed in crushing even the smallest threat before it could grow. Earth would be a quick and easy victory, another trophy to add to their long list of conquests. As the warships prepared to depart, a Vornax scientist approached Zoreth. Her name was Drachna, one of the brightest minds of their species. She hesitated for a moment before speaking. "Supreme Commander, I must inform you of something unusual. The humans, they have been developing technology faster than expected. Our scans show signs of advanced energy systems on their planet." Zoreth dismissed her concerns with a wave of his massive hand. "Humans? Advanced. They are nothing but insects compared to us. Whatever technology they have must be stolen or poorly made. Do not waste my time with such nonsense." Drachna nodded, though unease lingered in her mind. She had seen the data, and something about it didn't sit right with her. Still, she knew better than to question Zoreth twice. The Vornax were a species that valued strength over caution, and any sign of doubt was considered a weakness. The fleet launched from Kalzor, its massive ships cutting through the blackness of space. Each warship was armed with weapons capable of destroying entire cities in seconds. The Vornax warriors, eager for blood, prepared for the hunt. They imagined the humans screaming in terror, their fragile buildings crumbling under Vornax firepower. It was going to be another easy conquest, a routine extermination. As they approached Earth's solar system, the Vornax ships cloaked themselves, becoming invisible to human eyes. They entered the planet's orbit without any resistance. From their view, Earth looked peaceful, almost too peaceful. The blue and green planet spun quietly in the void, unaware of the danger that loomed above. Zoreth ordered his fleet to scan the planet's surface for potential threats. The Vornax expected to find primitive defenses, perhaps some outdated missiles or weak laser cannons. What they found, however, made Zoreth pause for the first time in centuries. "Commander, there are anomalies in their technology," one of the officers reported. "Their energy readings are higher than expected. Some of their systems appear to be cloaked, just like ours." Zoreth frowned, his glowing eyes narrowing. "Cloaked? Humans don't have cloaking technology." The officer hesitated. "It appears they do. And their weapons systems, they seem to be concentrated in underground facilities. We're also detecting strange energy signatures around their cities. It's almost as if they've been preparing for something." The warriors in the room grew restless. Zoreth's claws tapped against the armrest of his command chair. He hated surprises. "Prepare the fleet for an immediate strike. Let's remind these humans who they are dealing with." The Vornax warships descended from orbit, their weapons aimed at Earth's cities. The humans would never know what hit them. Or so they thought. Just as the first ship activated its weapons, something unexpected happened. A signal from Earth disrupted the Vornak systems. Screens flickered, alarms blared, and the warship's weapons powered down. "What is this?" Zorath roared, slamming his fist onto the control panel. "What are the humans doing?" Before anyone could answer, Earth's skies lit up. From hidden bases beneath the oceans, in mountains, and even in the cities themselves, human ships began to rise. These ships were sleek, fast, and heavily armed. They moved with precision, forming tight formations as they launched into the atmosphere. The humans were not running. They were fighting back. For the first time in millennia, the Vornaks were faced with something they had never encountered before: resistance. And not just any resistance. The humans had been preparing for this moment, and they were ready to fight. As Zorath stared at the fleet of human ships approaching, a thought crossed his mind. Perhaps they had underestimated this fragile species. Perhaps, for the first time, the Vornaks had met their match. The Vornaks invasion begins. The Vornaks fleet hung like a black storm over Earth's orbit. Their massive warships, silent and menacing, cast long shadows over the planet's surface. Supreme Commander Zorath stood at the bridge of his flagship, his glowing red eyes fixed on the spinning blue and green planet below. He had never seen such a beautiful world before, but beauty, to the Vornaks, was simply something to destroy. "Begin the invasion," Zorath commanded. His deep voice cut through the tense silence like a blade. The warriors aboard the fleet roared in unison, their claws gleaming as they prepared for the slaughter. For centuries, their victories had been swift and merciless. Today, they expected nothing less. The first wave of Vornaks attack ships broke through Earth's atmosphere like meteors, their hulls glowing orange from the heat of re-entry. They spread out in perfect formation, targeting the largest human cities. Their mission was simple: strike fear into the heart of humanity and force them into submission. It was a tactic that had worked flawlessly on countless worlds before. But as the Vornak ships descended, something strange happened. "Commander, we are detecting interference in our systems," one of the officers reported, his voice uneasy. "It appears the humans have deployed jamming signals." "Impossible," Zorath growled, his claws tapping against the control panel. "Their technology is too primitive for such tactics. Overcome it, and proceed with the attack." The officer nodded and attempted to override the interference. But as the Vornak ships moved closer to Earth's surface, the interference grew stronger. Weapons systems malfunctioned, targeting arrays froze, and communication lines crackled with static. And then, out of nowhere, the skies erupted with light. Hundreds of human ships burst into view, their sleek, angular designs shimmering as they deactivated their cloaking fields. They emerged from the oceans, the mountains, and even from hidden bases beneath cities. These were not the rusted, outdated ships the Vornaks expected to see. These were advanced war machines, armed with weapons that glowed with a deadly blue energy. "What is this?" Zorath demanded, his eyes narrowing. "How do the humans have cloaking technology? How do they have this?" The answer was clear. Humanity had been preparing for this moment. For years, they had been reverse engineering alien technology, building their defenses in secret. They had known the galaxy would eventually come for them, and they had refused to remain vulnerable. The human fleet moved with precision, their formations tight and disciplined. Their ships launched volleys of missiles and energy blasts, targeting the Vornaks' attack ships before they could react. Explosions lit up the sky as the first wave of Vornaks invaders was wiped out. On the ground, humanity responded with equal ferocity. Anti-aircraft weapons emerged from hidden silos, firing streams of glowing projectiles into the sky. Civilians were evacuated to underground shelters as Earth's military forces mobilized. The planet was a hive of activity, and everywhere the Vornaks turned, they faced resistance. Zorath watched the chaos unfold from his command ship, his claws digging into the armrest of his chair. For the first time in centuries, he felt something he had nearly forgotten: uncertainty. The humans were not running. They were not begging for mercy. They were fighting back. "Commander," another officer reported, his voice trembling, "our losses are increasing. The humans are using tactics we have never seen before. Their technology is advanced. Advanced." Zorath roared, slamming his fist on the console. "They are nothing but insects. Overwhelm them. Show them the power of the Vornax." The Vornax fleet regrouped and launched a second wave of attacks, but the humans were ready. Using their cloaking technology, they executed hit-and-run tactics, striking the Vornax ships from blind spots before disappearing again. It was as if the humans had studied the Vornax playbook and turned their own strategies against them. Meanwhile, on the surface, a team of human scientists and engineers worked furiously in a secret underground facility. They were monitoring the battle, analyzing the Vornax ships, and adapting their defenses in real time. Among them was Dr. Elena Vasquez, a brilliant scientist who had been instrumental in developing Earth's advanced technologies. "We can't let them take the upper hand," Elena said, her fingers flying across the keyboard. "Activate the orbital strike systems. If we don't stop their command ship, this battle is over." Above the planet, the Vornax command ship loomed, its massive size dwarfing even the largest human vessels. Zorath stared at the battle through the viewport, his frustration growing with every passing second. This was not how the invasion was supposed to go. The humans were supposed to be weak, defenseless. But now, they were proving to be far more dangerous than he had ever imagined. "Supreme Commander," Drachna said cautiously, stepping forward, "I warned you about the humans. They are not like the others we have conquered. They adapt. They evolve. We must be careful." Zorath turned to her, his glowing eyes burning with anger. "Careful? The Vornax do not retreat. We do not hesitate. These humans will learn the price of defiance." But even as he spoke, a small, unsettling thought crept into his mind. What if the humans were not prey? What if they were something more? Something even the Vornax were not prepared to face. As the human fleet closed in and Earth's orbital strike systems began to power up, Zorath realized that this battle was far from over. And for the first time in his long reign, he felt a flicker of doubt. Humanity's unexpected defense. The Vornax fleet was reeling. Across the skies of Earth, what had once seemed like a simple conquest had spiraled into chaos. Zorath, Supreme Commander of the Vornax, watched in disbelief as his carefully planned invasion began to unravel. Human ships, sleek and deadly, darted through the skies, evading Vornax attacks with ease. The battlefield was no longer one-sided. Earth was fighting back with a ferocity that no one had expected. Zorath's command ship hung in low orbit, its weapons systems glowing ominously. The fleet's remaining officers scrambled to restore control, but the humans' relentless counterattacks left little room for recovery. Zorath paced the bridge, his claws scraping the floor in frustration. "How are they doing this?" he growled. His crimson eyes scanned the chaos outside the viewport. "Their ships should not match ours in speed or firepower." A junior officer hesitated before speaking. "Commander, their technology appears to be hybrid. It's a mix of human ingenuity and alien design. They've reverse-engineered advanced tech, possibly from ships we've lost in previous campaigns." Zorath's claws froze mid-stride. His pride burned at the thought. Humans, scavenging our leftovers and turning them against us. His voice dropped into a low, dangerous growl. "They dare to mock us." But it wasn't just their technology. The humans had something else, something the Vornax could not understand. Their tactics were unpredictable, almost reckless. Yet there was a strange precision behind their chaos. Every strike was calculated, every retreat a lure into another ambush. It was as if humanity had studied the Vornax for years, preparing for this exact moment. The hidden defense network. Far beneath the Earth's surface, in a hidden base buried deep within a mountain range, General Marcus Steele stood before a holographic map of the ongoing battle. Dressed in a crisp uniform, his face was set with grim determination. Around him, a team of analysts and officers worked tirelessly, coordinating Earth's counteroffensive. "Activate Defense Grid Alpha," Steele commanded. "We need to force their second wave into the open. Our orbital strike platforms will handle the rest." The analysts nodded, their hands flying across glowing control panels. High above, massive satellites hidden among Earth's orbiting debris powered up. These were Earth's last line of defense, an array of advanced weapon systems capable of targeting and destroying even the largest Vornax ships. As the satellites came online, beams of concentrated energy rained down from the heavens, striking the Vornax fleet with pinpoint accuracy. Several smaller Vornax ships exploded instantly, their shattered remains burning up in the atmosphere. Zorath's fury grew with each report of losses. Their defenses should have crumbled by now. He roared, slamming his fist against the command console. How did these vermin develop such power? The turning point. While the orbital strikes dealt devastating blows, the human fleet continued its relentless assault. Their cloaked ships struck like phantoms, disappearing before the Vornax could retaliate. On the ground, anti-aircraft systems took down any invaders that dared to descend. And then, the humans revealed their most unexpected weapon, something no alien species had ever thought to use in war: psychological warfare. From every corner of the globe, humanity broadcasted a single message, one that echoed across the frequencies the Vornax used to communicate. It wasn't a threat or a plea for mercy. It was a history lesson. Images of human resilience played on every screen aboard the Vornax ships. They saw footage of ancient wars, of battles where humanity had been outnumbered and outgunned, yet refused to surrender. They saw cities rebuilt after disasters, communities uniting in the face of hopeless odds. They saw a species that had thrived not because of their strength, but because of their will to survive. The broadcasts grew darker. The Vornax watched as humans adapted to crisis, turning famine into innovation, disease into cures, and defeat into victory. The message was clear. Humanity did not know how to give up. They would fight until their very last breath. The Vornax warriors, bred to believe in their own invincibility, felt something they had never felt before: fear. Zorath's dilemma. On the command ship, Zorath's officers looked to him for guidance, their confidence shaken. "Commander, the humans are exploiting our weaknesses. Their psychological tactics are unsettling the troops. Morale is dropping." Zorath snarled, his claws digging into the metal railing. "The Vornax do not fear lesser species. Reorganize the fleet and prepare for a full-scale assault. I will crush their spirit myself." But even as he barked orders, doubt gnawed at the edges of his mind. The humans had taken the fight to a level the Vornax had never encountered. They weren't just defending their planet. They were sending a message to the galaxy. Earth was not prey. Humanity was not weak. Humanity strikes back. In the skies above, Captain Elena Vasquez led a squadron of human fighters in a daring counterattack. Her ship darted through the chaos, its cloaking field shimmering as it weaved between enemy fire. "Stay tight, team," Elena said through the comms. "We're going for their command ship. If we can disable it, the rest of the fleet will crumble." Her squadron followed her lead, their ships flying in perfect formation. As they approached the massive Vornax flagship, Elena's heart raced. She knew the odds were against them, but that had never stopped her before. "Target their engines," she ordered. "Let's show them what humans are made of." The squadron opened fire, their weapons lighting up the darkness of space. Explosions rippled across the surface of the Vornax flagship, forcing it to retreat. It was a small victory, but a significant one. Humanity had shown the Vornax that they would not go down without a fight. In the depths of space, the tide of the battle was turning. The Vornax, once confident in their superiority, now faced an enemy unlike any they had ever encountered. And as the humans pushed forward, Zorath realized that his fleet might not survive this encounter. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their strategy. It was their unyielding spirit, the truth about humans. Zoreth stood motionless in the command bridge of the Vornax flagship, his crimson eyes fixed on the holographic display. The map of Earth and its surrounding space pulsed with markers. Red for the Vornax, blue for the humans. The red markers were vanishing at an alarming rate. Entire squadrons had been destroyed. His once invincible fleet was in shambles. The silence on the bridge was suffocating. The officers and warriors avoided Zoreth's gaze, their claws nervously tapping against consoles. Even the bravest among them could not hide the growing dread. Something was wrong with this invasion, something deeply, fundamentally wrong. "Commander," a trembling voice finally broke the silence. It was Drachna, the fleet's chief scientist. "We've completed the analysis of the humans' technology and tactics. There's something you need to see." Zoreth turned to her, his massive frame towering over the smaller Vornax. "Speak quickly, Drachna. I have little patience for delays." Drachna hesitated, then tapped a few buttons on her device. A hologram flickered to life, displaying a series of blueprints and data streams. The humans' technology. It's not entirely their own. Much of it is reverse-engineered from alien systems. Zoreth snorted, his claws curling in disdain. "As I suspected. They are scavengers, nothing more." Drachna shook her head. "It's more than that, Commander. They didn't just copy what they found. They improved it. Look at these energy weapons. They've increased the efficiency of the power cores by 35%. Their cloaking devices have a wider range and faster activation than ours. And their tactics. They've adapted strategies from every species they've encountered, including us." The room fell silent again. The implications of Drachna's words sank in. The humans were not just surviving. They were evolving. Every battle, every encounter had made them stronger, smarter. They had turned the galaxy's conquests into lessons and its weapons into tools. The hidden human strategy. Deep beneath Earth's surface, in a sprawling underground facility, General Marcus Steele reviewed the latest reports. The holographic map before him displayed the Vornax fleet's positions, but unlike the chaos aboard Zoreth's ship, the atmosphere here was calm and focused. "Status report," Steele said, his voice steady. An officer stepped forward. "The Vornax fleet is down by 40%. Their second wave has been neutralized, and their command ship has retreated to a defensive position in low orbit." Steele nodded. "Good. Keep the pressure on them, but don't get reckless. They're still dangerous, and we can't afford to underestimate them." Dr. Elena Vasquez, standing nearby, adjusted her glasses and added, "General, our psychological tactics are working. The broadcasts are spreading confusion among their ranks. They're beginning to see us as something more than prey." Steele allowed himself a small smile. "That's because we are more than prey. We've spent decades preparing for this moment. Every war, every challenge, every hardship has led us here. The Vornax think they're the apex predators of the galaxy, but they've never faced anything like humanity." The Vornax's realization. Back on the flagship, Zoreth's claws tapped against the armrest of his chair as he processed Drachna's report. The data was clear. Humanity was no ordinary species. They were something far more dangerous, a species that adapted to every threat, that turned weakness into strength. "Commander," Drachna continued cautiously, "there's more. We've intercepted some of their broadcasts. They're sending a message not just to us, but to the entire galaxy." She tapped a button, and a human broadcast played on the bridge. It was a montage of Earth's history, showing humanity's greatest triumphs and darkest moments. Scenes of war and destruction were interwoven with acts of courage and resilience. The message was simple but powerful. We will never surrender. We are humanity, and we will survive. The Vornax officers watched in stunned silence. For the first time, they saw humans not as prey, but as equals, or perhaps something even greater. This is madness," one officer muttered. "They should be begging for mercy, not declaring war on us." Zoreth's claws tightened into fists. He could feel the fear spreading among his crew like a virus. The humans had done something no species had ever achieved before. They had shaken the Vornax's confidence. Humanity's secret weapon. While the Vornax struggled to understand their new enemy, humanity was preparing its next move. In the underground facility, Dr. Vasquez unveiled a new weapon to General Steele. The Nemesis Array, a massive orbital strike system capable of targeting entire fleets. "We've been saving this for the right moment," Vasquez explained. "If we can lure the Vornax command ship into range, we can end this battle in one strike." Steele studied the hologram of the Nemesis Array. "And if it doesn't work?" Vasquez smiled faintly. "Then we improvise. That's what humans do best, isn't it?" The Vornax's last stand. As the human fleet pressed its advantage, Zorath made a fateful decision. "Prepare the fleet for a final assault," he commanded. "We will not retreat. If these humans want to fight, then we will show them the true power of the Vornax." But deep down, Zorath knew the truth. This battle was different. Humanity was different. For the first time in his long reign, he felt the cold grip of uncertainty. As the Vornax fleet regrouped and prepared for their final stand, the humans readied the Nemesis Array. The battle was far from over, but one thing was clear: the galaxy's deadliest species had finally met their match. Humanity's psychological warfare. The Vornax fleet, once a symbol of unstoppable power, was crumbling. Their sleek, indestructible warships were now scattered debris, falling through Earth's atmosphere like shooting stars. Yet the greatest damage was not to their ships, it was to their minds. Inside the Vornax flagship, Supreme Commander Zorath glared at the swirling holographic battlefield. The red markers representing his fleet were vanishing faster than he could issue commands. His officers sat frozen at their stations, their sharp claws idle, their minds clouded with doubt. For the first time in Vornax history, they weren't losing because of superior firepower or advanced strategy. They were losing because their enemy had reached into their minds and planted the one thing the Vornax had never experienced before, the weapon humanity had perfected. Far beneath the surface of Earth, in a hidden command center, General Marcus Steele watched the effects of their latest weapon unfold. On the walls of the underground chamber, holographic displays showed intercepted transmissions from the Vornax fleet. The once proud warriors were arguing, panicking, and in some cases, abandoning their posts. "It's working," Steele said quietly, a hint of satisfaction in his voice. Beside him, Dr. Elena Vasquez tapped a screen, bringing up the feed of their psychological warfare program. "The Vornax have always relied on brute strength and intimidation," she explained. "But they've never faced a species that fights with ideas, with emotions. We're showing them who we really are." The program broadcasted images and stories from Earth's history to the Vornax fleet. Scenes of human resilience, bravery, and ingenuity played on loop, disrupting their communications and unsettling their morale. Soldiers watched as humans survived disasters, rebuilt from ruins, and fought against impossible odds. Every image was a challenge, a declaration that humans were not prey. They were predators in their own right. The cracks in the Vornax armor. "Commander." An officer on Zorath's ship broke the silence, his voice trembling. "The humans' broadcasts. They are affecting the crew. Some of the warriors are refusing to follow orders. Others are saying we should retreat." Zorath slammed his clawed fist onto the console, cracking the metal. "Retreat? The Vornax do not retreat. We crush. We conquer. Those who doubt our strength are cowards unworthy of their armor." But even as he spoke, Zorath knew the truth. His crew was faltering. The humans were fighting a war on two fronts, one with weapons and one with ideas. The Vornax, for all their physical might, had no defense against this unseen attack. The broadcasts grew more personal. The humans had intercepted Vornax data and tailored their messages to strike at the heart of the invaders' pride. One transmission showed a human soldier standing amidst rubble, his face bloody but defiant. "You think you can break us? The soldier said, staring directly into the camera. "We've fought wars longer than you've been alive. We've survived plagues, disasters, and each other. And every time, we've come back stronger. You're not facing prey. You're facing humanity." The turning point. On the surface of Earth, the battle raged on. Human forces launched coordinated strikes, targeting the remaining Vornax ships with surgical precision. In the skies, human pilots outmaneuvered their alien adversaries, using speed and cunning to outmatch the Vornax. Captain Elena Vasquez led one such squadron, her ship darting through the chaos like a phantom. "Stay tight, team," she said over the comms. "We've got them on the ropes, but don't get cocky. They're still dangerous." As her squadron approached a cluster of Vornax ships, she noticed something strange. The enemy ships were moving erratically, their formations broken. It was as if the Vornax no longer knew how to fight. "They're panicking," one of her wingmen said, disbelief in his voice. "They don't know what to do." "Good," Elena replied. "Let's keep it that way." The last broadcast. In the hidden command center, General Steele and Dr. Vasquez prepared their final move. They had saved the most powerful broadcast for this moment, the one designed to shatter the Vornax completely. "Is it ready?" Steele asked. Vasquez nodded. "This one's going to hit them where it hurts. It's not just about showing them who we are. It's about showing them who they're not." The broadcast began. Across the Vornax fleet, screens flickered to life. This time, the images were not of human resilience or strength. They were of failure. Vornax failure. A montage of their defeats at the hands of the humans played out, interspersed with clips of their own warriors retreating, surrendering, and falling. The message was clear. You are not invincible. You are not unstoppable. You are no longer the galaxy's apex predator. For the Vornax, who had built their entire identity on dominance, the message was devastating. Warriors abandoned their posts. Officers questioned their orders. Even Zoreth, the unshakable leader, felt the weight of the broadcast pressing down on him. The commander's rage. Zoreth roared, his voice echoing through the bridge. "Enough. Shut it down. I will not let these insects break us." But his commands fell on deaf ears. His officers were paralyzed with doubt, their claws hanging limply at their sides. The humans had done what no species had ever achieved. They had broken the spirit of the Vornax. In a final act of desperation, Zoreth ordered the remaining ships to regroup. "If they want war, we'll give them war," he growled. "Prepare for the final assault. This isn't over." But deep down, he knew the truth. The humans had already won the most important battle, not of ships or weapons, but of wills. The final showdown. The battlefield above Earth was a graveyard of broken ships and burning wreckage. The once mighty Vornax fleet had been reduced to a shadow of its former glory, but Zoreth refused to yield. On the bridge of his massive flagship, he stood tall, his crimson eyes blazing with rage. "Humans may have broken the weaker among us," he snarled, "but the true Vornax do not surrender. We will unleash everything we have, and this planet will burn." The few remaining Vornax ships rallied around the flagship, forming a defensive sphere. Their weapons powered up, glowing with energy as they prepared for a final desperate assault. Zoreth had no illusions of victory. This was about pride now. If the Vornax were to fall, they would take as many humans with them as possible. Humanity's relentless resolve. In Earth's hidden command center, General Steele studied the holographic battlefield. The Vornax flagship loomed like a dark sun, its enormous size and firepower dwarfing anything humanity could muster. "That's their last stronghold," Steele said, his voice calm but firm. "If we can take out their flagship, the rest of their fleet will crumble." Dr. Elena Vasquez stood beside him, her face lit by the glow of the display. "Their flagship's shields are impenetrable. We've thrown everything at it, and it hasn't even flinched." Steele turned to her. "What about the Nemesis array? Can we use it?" Elena hesitated. The array wasn't designed for a ship that size. It could work, but the energy output might overload the system. It's a one-shot gamble. Steele's jaw tightened. A gamble is all we've got. Prepare the array. The Vornax's last charge. On board the flagship, Zorath addressed his remaining warriors. We are the Vornax. We are the galaxy's apex predators. Today, we remind these humans who we are. Prepare for the final charge. The Vornax fleet surged forward, their weapons firing in all directions. The skies above Earth lit up with beams of energy and bursts of flame. Human ships darted between the chaos, their smaller size and agility allowing them to avoid the worst of the onslaught. Captain Elena Vasquez led her squadron into the fray. Her voice crackled over the comms. Team, focus on their engines. If we can slow them down, we'll give the Nemesis array a clear shot. Her squadron weaved through the Vornax formation, targeting weak points and creating chaos. Explosions rippled across the battlefield as the Vornax ships struggled to maintain their formation. Humanity's secret weapon. Deep in orbit, hidden among Earth's debris field, the Nemesis array powered up. Massive panels unfolded, revealing a sleek weapon brimming with energy. Engineers worked frantically to ensure the system wouldn't overload before it could fire. Array is at 90% charge, an operator reported. Target locked on the Vornax flagship. Steele's voice was calm but commanding. Hold fire until I give the order. We only get one shot at this. On the flagship, Zorath noticed the Nemesis array powering up. His claws dug into the armrest of his chair. So this is their trump card, he growled. Focus all fire on that weapon. Destroy it before they can fire. The Vornax ships turned their weapons toward the Nemesis array, but the humans anticipated the move. Squadrons of human fighters intercepted the Vornax ships, shielding the array with their lives. Protect the array at all costs, Elena shouted to her squadron. Her ship took a glancing hit, sparks flying across the cockpit, but she pressed on, her focus unshaken. The final shot. The Nemesis array reached full charge. Its sleek frame glowed with an intense blue light, humming with power. Array is ready to fire, the operator announced. Steele leaned forward, his eyes locked on the holographic display. Fire. A massive beam of energy shot out from the array, slicing through the darkness of space. It moved with terrifying precision, striking the Vornax flagship square in the center. For a moment, the ship's shields held, glowing a bright crimson as they absorbed the impact. But then, with a deafening crack, the shields shattered. The beam pierced the flagship's hull, ripping through its core. Explosions erupted from within as the ship began to break apart. Zorath stood on the bridge, his glowing eyes filled with fury and defiance. This is not the end, he growled, even as flames consumed the room around him. The Vornax will rise again. The flagship exploded in a brilliant burst of light, scattering debris across the battlefield. The remaining Vornax ships, leaderless and outnumbered, powered down their weapons. The battle was over. Humanity's victory. Cheers erupted in the human command center as the destruction of the flagship was confirmed. General Steele allowed himself a rare smile. Well done, everyone. We showed them what humanity is capable of. Elena's voice came through the comms. The flagship is down, General. The remaining Vornax ships are retreating. Steele nodded. Let them go. The galaxy will know what happened here today. Humanity is no longer a target. We're a force to be reckoned with. The aftermath. As the Vornax retreated, Earth's skies cleared, revealing a planet scared but not broken. Across the globe, humans emerged from their shelters, their eyes turned to the stars. They had faced the galaxy's deadliest predators and survived. In the hidden command center, Steele and Vasquez stood side by side, watching the remnants of the Vornax fleet disappear into the void. They'll be back, Vasquez said quietly. Steele nodded. And when they come, we'll be ready. Humanity doesn't just survive. We thrive. The camera panned out, showing Earth glowing against the blackness of space. Humanity had won the battle, but the war for the galaxy was only beginning. A new galactic power. The silence in space was almost deafening. Where moments before, chaos and destruction had raged, now only the drifting debris of the once feared Vornax fleet remained. Earth's forces, battered but triumphant, regrouped in orbit, their ships shining like beacons of resilience. Humanity had won. For the first time in galactic history, the galaxy's deadliest species had been defeated. But this victory was not just about survival. It was a statement, a declaration to the universe that humanity was no longer a silent, distant planet. They were now players in the galactic arena, a force to be reckoned with. The galaxy watches. Across the stars, whispers spread like wildfire. Dozens of alien species, some allies of the Vornax and others their quiet enemies, watched the battle unfold through hidden sensors and intercepted transmissions. They had all believed in the myth of Vornax invincibility. To see that myth shattered by humans, a species considered insignificant until now, shook the foundations of the galaxy's power structures. On the distant planet of Silthar Prime, a council of galactic leaders convened in a grand chamber, their forms towering and strange, their voices a mix of growls, clicks, and hums. Impossible. A reptilian leader hissed, his scales rippling with unease. The Vornax were the apex predators of the galaxy. No species could stand against them. And yet the humans did, replied another, a glowing, translucent being. They are not what we thought. They are unpredictable. The council fell into uneasy silence. For the first time, they saw humans not as a curiosity but as a potential threat. Plans were being drawn, alliances reconsidered, and strategies devised. Humanity had entered the galactic stage, and the galaxy wasn't ready. Earth's unity. Back on Earth, celebrations erupted across the planet. Cities lit up with fireworks, people poured into the streets, and strangers embraced in relief and joy. But deep underground, in the hidden command center, General Marcus Steele and Dr. Elena Vasquez were already planning the next steps. "This isn't the end," Steele said, his arms crossed as he stared at a holographic map of the galaxy. "The Vornax were just the beginning. Now that we've shown what we're capable of, others will come." Elena nodded, her face serious. "And they'll come prepared. We caught the Vornax off guard, but the next threat will be smarter, stronger." Steele turned to her. "Then we need to be smarter too. Humanity needs to evolve, not just to defend ourselves, but to take our place in the galaxy." A message to the stars. In a massive underground hangar, a new fleet of human ships was being assembled. These ships were unlike anything the galaxy had seen before, incorporating not only human ingenuity, but also the very technology humanity had stolen from its enemies. Engineers and scientists worked tirelessly, driven by the knowledge that Earth's survival depended on staying one step ahead. At the same time, a message was broadcast across the galaxy. General Steele stood in front of a camera, his face calm but resolute. Behind him, the human flag waved, a symbol of unity and strength. "To the civilizations of the galaxy," he began, his voice steady. "Humanity has faced extinction before. We have fought against impossible odds, and we have always survived. Today, we prove that we are not prey. We are not weak. We are a species that adapts, that learns, and that fights for its future." He paused, letting his words sink in. "We do not seek war, but we will not run from it. Let this serve as a warning to those who would harm us. Humanity stands united, and we will defend our home with everything we have." The message was clear. Earth was no longer a quiet planet on the fringes of the galaxy. It was a rising power, and its people were prepared to fight for their place among the stars. The Vornax's retreat. Far from Earth, the remnants of the Vornax fleet limped back to their homeworld, Calzor. Supreme Commander Zoreth sat alone in his damaged flagship, staring at the ruins of his once mighty fleet. His armor was scorched, his pride shattered. For the first time in his long reign, Zorath felt the sting of defeat. The humans had not just beaten him, they had humiliated him. And yet, in that humiliation, he felt something else. A burning desire for revenge. "Let the galaxy mock us," he growled, his voice echoing in the empty chamber. "Let them think the Vornax are finished. But this is not the end. We will rebuild. We will adapt. And when we return, the humans will learn the true meaning of fear." Zorath's claws dug into the armrest of his throne. The Vornax would rise again, and this time they would not underestimate their prey. Humanity's new dawn. As Earth rebuilt and prepared for the future, humanity entered a new era. The battle with the Vornax had not just been a fight for survival, it had been a catalyst for change. Nations united like never before, pooling their resources and knowledge to create a global alliance dedicated to exploring and defending the galaxy. Captain Elena Vasquez, now a hero celebrated across the planet, stood on the bridge of Earth's newest flagship, the Resolute. The ship was sleek and powerful, a symbol of humanity's resilience and ingenuity. "Where to, Captain?" her first officer asked. Elena smiled, her eyes scanning the endless stars. "Forward, always forward." The Resolute powered up its engines, and with a flash of light, it leaped into the unknown. Humanity was no longer waiting for the galaxy to come to them. They were stepping into the stars, ready to shape their destiny. And somewhere, in the dark corners of the galaxy, new threats watched and waited, their eyes fixed on Earth. The humans had made their move, and the game was just beginning.